Belgium has been chasing the answer to one question for 8 long years. Why hasn't it happened yet? In 2018, they fielded one of the most talented squads on the planet. They knocked out Brazil, but they couldn't go all the way and finished third. Then came Qatar, 2022. A disaster. Out in the group stage. And now, the clock is finally running out on the so-called golden generation. De Bruyne is 34, Lukaku is 32, and Thibaut Courtois may be stepping onto the biggest stage for the very last time. This squad is still loaded with quality, but this time there are no excuses left. Either they make history on this final dance, or they fade out with a quiet, heartbreaking goodbye. Belgium arrives at this tournament right in the middle of a painful transition, one foot still planted in a glorious past, the other reaching into an uncertain future. Head coach Rudi Garcia has built something pragmatic and purposeful with the tools at his disposal. Lightning-fast transitions, direct vertical passing, dangerous width from both flanks. This isn't Guardiola's patient possession football, and it isn't reckless gegenpressing either. Belgium becomes the most dangerous team in the world the moment their opponent leaves space behind the defensive line. And this dynamic, mobile squad is perfectly built for that kind of predatory football. Historically, 2018 casts a long shadow. That question, why couldn't you win it with that squad, still haunts this program. But here's the thing, this new generation doesn't carry that weight. They haven't had their big failure yet. They're not trying to redeem anything. They just want to write their own story. The most undeniable strength of this squad lives in the midfield. Kevin De Bruyne, now 34 and at Napoli, remains one of the elite creative forces on the planet. Behind him sits the Aston Villa engine room, Yuri Tielemans and Amadou Onana. This pair can build play with elegance and destroy attacks with equal efficiency. Pay particular attention to Onana. At just 24 years old, his physical dominance and growing football intelligence make the central zone virtually impossible to pass through. When this trio is in form, Belgium's midfield is a wall and a weapon. The second major strength is that transition football hardwired into Belgium's DNA. On the counter, they become genuine predators. Jeremy Doku's chaotic, unpredictable runs down the left. De Bruyne's laser-precise long balls from the center. Add Leandro Trossard from Arsenal. Players who know each other's movements by heart, forged in the fire of the Premier League. To have an attacking unit that can dismantle any backline in the world. The proof? In March 2026, without both Courtois and Lukaku, Belgium beat the United States 5-2. Doku tore the wing apart. Onana scored his first international goal. Even with a second-string lineup, they were devastatingly effective. And then there's Thibaut Courtois. The Real Madrid goalkeeper remains the best in the world. At Euro 2024, he was absent through injury, and Belgium went home early. His return is not just a positional change. It's a complete psychological transformation for the entire defensive line. When Courtois stands between those posts, the whole team believes. Predicted starting 11. In goal, the wall stands firm. Thibaut Courtois, Real Madrid's giant, covers every angle with experience and presence. Behind him in the depth chart, 23-year-old Manchester United keeper Sen Lamens and Strasbourg's rising talent, Mike Penders, are ready to step in. At center-back, Zeno de Bast from Sporting Lisbon pairs with Eintracht Frankfurt's Arthur Theat. In reserve, Koni de Winter from Milan and Lille's Nathan Ngoy provide youthful backup. Timothy Castagne of Fulham holds the right-back position with defensive discipline, while Brighton's Maxime de Kuiper pushes forward aggressively from the left. Thomas Meunier provides cover on the right, with Club Brugge's young fullback Joaquin Saiz waiting on the left. In midfield, Amadou Onana anchors the defensive line. Tielemans controls the tempo beside him, and the captain Kevin De Bruyne operates in the 10 role, linking everything together. Alexis Saelemaekers from Milan, Charles De Ketelaere from Atalanta, and Rangers midfielder Nicolas Raskin give Garcia rotation options throughout the tournament. Up front, Jeremy Doku on the left, Trossard on the right, and Romelu Lukaku through the middle, using every inch of his physical presence to punish defenders. Dodi Lukebakio from Benfica and Lille's Matias Fernandez Pardo round out the attacking depth. The key players are obvious, but their roles have shifted. Kevin De Bruyne is still the brain. When he's given freedom to operate, Belgium is virtually unstoppable. But let's be honest, this is no longer a player who can cover every blade of grass for 90 minutes. That's exactly why the space Onana and Tielemans create for him is absolutely critical. When those corridors are open, De Bruyne is limitless. When they're closed, Belgium can grind to a halt. Romelu Lukaku, 89 international goals deep, remains the biggest goal threat on the pitch. But his history of injuries and the question marks over his fitness throughout a long tournament cannot be ignored. Now, while every camera is pointed at De Bruyne and Lukaku, Bruyne Lukaku is quietly moving through the shadows. The answer is Charles De Ketelaere. At 25 years old, shaped by Gasperini's meticulous system at Atalanta, De Ketelaere has developed extraordinary movement intelligence in tight spaces and an increasingly clinical eye for goal. Nobody talks about him because he lives in De Bruyne's enormous shadow. But the moment defenders commit fully to stopping De Bruyne, De Ketelaire's late runs into the box will slice through those backlines like a knife. He is the tournament's most dangerous secret. Now let's turn the coin over, because Belgium's defensive line is a ticking time bomb. In just 2 qualification matches against Wales, they conceded 5 goals. 5. For a team with genuine tournament ambitions, that is a flashing red alert. The problem isn't individual mistakes alone. The defensive unit still lacks cohesion and communication. Belgium has structural vulnerabilities against direct vertical attacking teams, especially on the counter. When the fullbacks push forward, the space they leave behind is an open invitation for pacey forwards. The second and deeper risk is a generational balancing act. This squad's success depends entirely on finding the right chemistry between battle-hardened veterans and unproven young talent. If the manager fails to build that bridge at the right moment, in a high-pressure knockout game when De Bruyne is exhausted or neutralized, and those young players aren't ready to carry the load, Belgium could freeze on the biggest stage. Does that sound familiar? It should. That's almost exactly what happened in Qatar. The old stars ran out of fuel. The young ones couldn't carry the responsibility. The question now is simple. Has this generation learned from that? Or is history about to repeat itself? Belgium enters this tournament on a knife's edge. On one side, De Bruyne and Lukaku, 2 legends playing out their final act. On the other, Jeremy Doku and Charles De Ketelaere, 2 of the most exciting young players in European football. Group G contains Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Honestly, Belgium should top that group comfortably. But the real question isn't whether they advance. It's what kind of momentum and mentality they carry out of it. They open the tournament on June 15th in Seattle against Egypt. If they can put Mohamed Salah's side away in that opening game, the pressure on the following fixtures disappears. But a stumble there could turn the entire group into a nightmare scenario. In the knockout rounds, 2 pictures emerge. Best case, Courtois is a wall. De Bruyne stays injury-free and operates at full capacity, and Doku becomes the consistent match winner he's capable of being. Under those conditions, Belgium can hunt down teams that leave space in behind and cruise comfortably into the quarterfinals. Worst case, Lukaku battles injuries throughout. The defensive gaps at fullback never get fixed, and De Bruyne is left to solve every problem on his own. In that scenario, an early exit, quarterfinals or even before, becomes very real. My prediction: Belgium tops the group. Their ceiling in this tournament is the quarterfinals. To go further, to actually knock on the door of a semi-final, the defense needs to be unrecognizable from the side that leaked goals in qualifying, and De Bruyne needs to be playing at his absolute best, not just going through the motion. So, can Belgium's legends write a fairy tale ending on this final stage? Or will that fragile defensive line bring this young generation crashing down, just like it did the last one? Can Lukaku and De Bruyne leave a real mark on this tournament? Drop your predictions and thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about Belgium's last dance together. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next entry in our 2026 World Cup series. See you in the next Tactical Breakdown.